I'm Margo Clabo. I'd like to show you another way to make a sleeve for your quilts. I really like the way Sharon shows how to put one on a wall hanging that's going to be a permanent sleeve, but what if you have a quilt that you've already attached the binding to and you need to put a sleeve on it? Or what if you have a quilt that's going into a show and you're going to want to use it as an everyday quilt when you get it back and you don't want the sleeve on it? This is a method you may want to try. Just like Sharon's, you need to measure the length of your sleeve across the top of your quilt and make a hem in each end. All I have to do is fold a double fold about 1/2 inch and stitch along that fold line. This is also cut like Sharon's, and it's about 9 inches wide times the length of the quilt that I need to do. You just stitch along that fold line, and then with the wrong sides of the sleeve together, match the long raw edges and stitch 1/4 or 1/2 inch along that seam. Do not press this other folded edge. You want that to be just folded over, not pressed. But line up your raw edges and make a seam along that line. This is what it'll be stitched here. Now, one of the secrets to this is instead of having to turn this right side out, you've already got the right side out. The seam will wind up on the back if you will just put the seam line at the top, fold it to one side, and press that seam to one side. Do not press the folded edge down here, just make a crisp edge on this side. Okay, so it's nice and softly folded here, crisply folded here, and the seam allowance is pressed to one side that you can see. Now, if you will take your quilt and take that crisply folded edge and put it right along the top where your binding is, drop it down about 1/4 inch. You see how the seam allowance is folded back here? That goes down, the seam allowance goes down. You want the sleeve to set in from your binding and in from the binding on the top about 1/4 inch. Pin that top edge only and whip it down by hand, just the top edge. We still have a soft fold at the bottom, but the crisp edge is up here and it's stitched. After it's all stitched, here comes the secret part. You need the gap in it so that when it's hanging on a pole, it doesn't pucker the front of your quilt. If you'll take your sleeve and fold it up so that that top edge goes right to the top of your binding, and then pin this bottom edge. That will give you the gap. Do you hear? You've got the gap for the pole to go in. I also stitched down this edge here because the seam allowance is on the back side. When you've got this edge stitched here, there is no raw seam showing at all. It makes a really nice finished edge. So that's a way you can try to attach your sleeve after you've already got your binding on. Hope you like it. Enjoy the process.